Welcome to the Hey Soul Sista podcast, where Mel Histon will guide you through life's big questions and bring you one step closer to doing this crazy journey as best you can.
Hey Soul Sisters, today in the Hey Soul Sista podcast studio, I have psychic to the stars, amazing woman, Beck Gibson. Hey, Beck.
Hey, how you doing?
Beck's been on Hey Soul Sista a number of times. She's a psychic medium and also a psychiatric nurse.
Yeah, I'm doing much more of that lately than the psychic stuff, although I did have 2 clients yesterday.
And look, I've invited Beck in to record today because I'm seeing more and more in the world, just chaos, global chaos. There's war, there's Trump, increased violence. You know, I work in the domestic violence space. I got you back, sister. So we've seen the numbers of women reaching out to us increase exponentially.
Yeah.
It's actually scaring to turn on the news and they've got youth violence. It feels as though the world's it's in chaos, it's going mad. And so I invited you in, Beck, because I love that you always, through your psychic energy and understanding and spirituality, I love the spirituality. I wanted to have that chat with you because I know energetically you've been tuning in and talking about what's going on in the world. And, you know, you work in a mental health hospital as a psychiatric nurse. So you've been kind of sharing with me just bits and pieces about what you're seeing. Yeah. What's going on?
Energetically,
Yeah.
I feel like it's the collapse of the toxic patriarchy. The system's starting to collapse and people are in fear and they're feeling it. And they're starting to get concerned for themselves, not knowing how to transmute their fear, not knowing how to look into the gratitude or ground themselves, and it's just this fight or flight response that people are having en masse, and unfortunately it's coming out a lot in violence.
Yeah. So in your work, you've been saying that you've been seeing a lot of violence. So do you mind, are you able to share a little bit about, you know, what does a shift look like for you?
It's a lot. We're having a lot of extra codes. So we have what are called code blacks, and that's when a patient's become violent and we have to call a response team of other mental health nurses and security that are on to diffuse the situation and manage it as best as we possibly can. So I mean, I don't have the data on it. I can only go by anecdotal experience of what's happening, but there just seems to be more and more codes. There's more and more people coming in through the police that have been involved in something violent. There's more and more people coming in with weapons. I've noticed now that you can buy handguns on a particular social media platform for like $500 or $600 for a handgun that will be sent to you in the mail.
Jeez.
There's patients outside in the community who are very fearful and paranoid and are on drugs, and you know they're mixing within criminal social scenes where they're arming themselves.
And as a psychiatric nurse working in that mental health hospital, you yourself have experienced violence from your patients that you're caring for.
Yeah, a lot of us will have a lot of verbal violence. There'll be a lot of threats. There's a lot of sexual harassment. There's a lot of threats to hurt us, intimidating behaviour, and you know we're putting up with that all the time. But there seems to be an escalation in patients actually physically assaulting us.
Yeah, I mean that has to be traumatic for you, and for the other nurses and staff.
Yeah, everybody handles trauma differently when it comes to things like that. And for me, because I've been doing it for so long now, you know, going on nearly 30 years, and I've worked in some of the most violent of places when I used to work in the prison system, and because I have such a different spiritual practice to other people, and I process things much differently now, which also comes from trauma. You start processing things differently. I've noticed that I process things differently from other staff members, and I've now started helping, I hope that I'm helping, some of the less experienced newer nurses who are coming through to see how they can handle working in an environment like that. And if it's not for them, then they should make better choices for them and their lives rather than stay in a place where you're constantly picking up vicarious trauma.
Yeah. And I know we throw this word around a lot, resilience. It's almost a bit of a buzzword now, being resilient. But I'm like, this is a lot more than being resilient. This is to be able to deal with going into work knowing that you're going to be threatened.
That's true. And I don't really pay attention to it until my daughter will yell out to me, please be safe, before I go to work, or I feel like I can't tell my husband some things that happened at work because he wants to go into this protector provider energy, and I don't need that. I just need to be able to vent. I don't need for him to fix things. And so I'm navigating those relationships at home to make them feel safe, knowing that I'm able to handle myself, but they obviously have no control over what happens to me at work. So I have to try and help them be resilient.
Yeah. You know, I've been listening to other podcasts and YouTube channels and going back to, I guess, more of a global view. And I've seen a lot of channelers, psychic mediums, people who work in or operate in or sit in the spiritual space, spirituality space. And they're talking about big shifts and things that are happening in 2024. And again, we're seeing a couple of wars playing out right now. We're seeing Donald Trump playing out.
I mean, we're seeing the wars that we can see now with social media, but these kinds of things have been going on in African countries for a very long time. What's happening in Gaza isn't just from October 7th. This has been going on for decades and decades. It's just that now we have the power of social media and people being able to share, and things can't be doctored by mainstream media, propaganda. It doesn't have the same hold that it used to because there's more truth tellers. It's probably bringing up more fear for people because they're starting to realize, one, things haven't always been what we've been told, where the government's like, everything's fine, we've got it all under control, and anyone who thinks against that is a conspiracy theorist. And now people are starting to see, especially after the pandemic, and now, we're having global financial issues. We've got wars playing out on social media right in front of our face. If you choose not to turn a blind eye, you're actually seeing horrible images of dead children and dead people, and reality is starting to become more and more of something that we can't turn away from. And we can't use our privilege anymore just to pretend, we don't live there. It's not happening to us, so I'm just going to ignore it and I'm going to go be love and light somewhere. That's not how the world works. And I don't want to be part of a world where I choose to turn a blind eye and not be part of the solution.
Yeah.
Want to fill your soul with more? Go to thesistercode.com.
So putting your psychic hat on.
Yeah.
And I know that you're very in tune with your guides. Can you see or make any predictions or see how Trump's going to play out, how these global conflicts are going to play out? Can you see any of that, or what the shifts are?
I'm still adamant that the States is going to have civil war.
Yeah.
Especially given they're about to go back into elections, probably with exactly the same two people.
Biden and Trump?
Yeah. One's not even allowed to run a company anymore, but still, despite the gazillion of charges, can still run the country, but he's not allowed to run a company anymore. The stupidity of that, it just astounds me.
And middle America love him.
And then the other, he's complicit in a genocide. So what do you do? This is the options that they've got. They're not options. Neither of that will come out good for anybody in that country. It's just, people can only take so much after the pandemic. People are really struggling financially. So many people have lost their homes and are living in tents and don't have jobs and are struggling to feed themselves and their family. And then you've got this circus playing out in politics of, we're going to make the country better. Well, you guys have had 8 years to get this sorted between the two of them. What's happened?
Yeah.
The place getting worse.
Yeah. Well, I know that when the Americans stormed the Capitol after Biden got in and Trump did not get in at that last election, I remember watching that thinking, is this going to be civil war?
That's the beginning. For them to be doing something like that, and then the aftermath, and then if he was to get back in after that, it's just giving more license to people who already aren't living in a place of community, who are very much in fear and wanting things for themselves and create division.
I was listening to a podcast and I can't remember what it's called. I actually went looking for it again and I couldn't find it. But I remember there was a well-renowned historian as a guest on the podcast, and he was talking about the cycles, historical cycles of the world. And he said, there's this real pattern of tension, then war. So, world wars. And then after the war, everybody goes, oh, thank goodness. And there's this time of peace where everybody's like, we don't want war again. And then a time of prosperity where, the world and countries, probably Western countries, to be honest, go into this period of prosperity and everything's okay. And then the tension starts to build again. And then people almost forget, the world forgets the previous wars, and then there's another cycle. And so this guy was talking about the various, that this is an ongoing cycle that happens in the world.
It has been, but we're living in a very different technology time now. Technology is, the horse is well and truly out of the gate. There's no pulling back AI or any of the other things that are going on, and that pattern will be disrupted.
Yeah. So do you personally feel, because I know you're very in tune with energy and you've been tuning with global energy, do you feel that collective energy of fear and hate affecting the world?
Absolutely. I see it every day. I see it in patients. I don't watch the news, but I just open up social media. You see it on social media. You see so many more murders and assaults and people with weapons, guns around Newcastle. Even we live in the most beautiful place, and I would never have expected that people would be walking the streets with handguns, but there is an increase in people who have handguns in this area, and that terrifies me that this is where we've gotten to.
Yeah, especially when you see gun violence in other countries.
I know.
And we kind of go, oh, that's something that we've been very proud of and felt good about is the safety.
It's been a privilege to have that safety, and now I'm starting to see maybe we won't be as privileged to not have to worry about that. That's not something that we've had to think about sending our kids to school.
Yeah. Have you been able, through your psychic abilities, been able to foresee the outcome of the Ukrainian-Russian war and Israel-Gaza?
Unfortunately, what I see is still decades of fighting, still decades of complete annihilation of people and areas. A lot of it is for capitalism. A lot of it's for greed. I think people will start to realize that the people who benefit greatly financially don't care about religion, but they're weaponizing religion to help create more division between people, and it's actually about money for others.
Yeah. People that I've been speaking to, and I realise this is anecdotal, but hey, it is what it is. People that I speak to at the moment, and probably because of the work that we do at Got Your Back Sister, I'm speaking to our team, other services, just people. I've been doing a lot of speaking for International Women's Day, and people coming up and starting conversations with me around the state of the world and around the fear, that the dismay at what they're seeing, violence in the community, violence in the world. And for us women, come up literally knocking on our doorstep at Got Your Back Sister saying, I need help. They'll show up, knock on the door with a child and go, I need help.
Yeah.
I'm in an abusive relationship and I can't take anymore. I have to get out. So we're seeing a lot of that. I guess I'd like to talk about what can we do, because it's hard, it's depressing. And I go, there are times that I feel really disheartened and helpless and hopeless at the state of the world.
Yeah.
Turn on the news, youth violence. It's a big problem and it feels like it's getting worse. And interestingly, so the youth of today that are out there causing destruction and violence in communities become the domestic violence perpetrators of tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I go, and to the people that have been sharing their fears with me, I'm like, what do we do to shine a light on hope, to shine a light on how we can not all personally be so dragged down by all that chaos and hopelessness and violence that we see?
I think we need to use our lives to start talking to people who are in places where they're not safe. If you know that they're in places where they're starting to be not safe to other people, I think we need to share things of our own experiences and how we've managed to move through things and how we move through trauma. More people need to talk about those kinds of things. More people, hopefully, like a lot of people that come out of correctional centres that have spent time in jail for being violent, for those to come out and start talking in groups, men's sheds, those kinds of things, getting together with younger men and boys and say, listen, this isn't the life that you should be living. People should be using their own traumatic experiences that they've moved through in a healthy way to help shine a light on others, that there are other ways. You don't have to live like this. This doesn't have to be the path for you. Because a lot of people, when they're stuck in those violent cycles and they're perpetuating trauma and they're feeling hopeless and helpless themselves, and it's coming out as violence, it's coming out as aggression, they don't see any hope for their future either. They don't see anything beyond how they're feeling in their rage. And a lot of them, when people try to tell them you're going to end up in jail or dead, they don't care. They're not in a space where they're ready to receive that yet. And I think old people that have been through these things, that have gone through their traumas healthily, can use their experiences of when it wasn't so healthy when they were dealing with it, and then what they did to help themselves, and then reach out to other people. And even the global stuff, if you're feeling helpless and hopeless about what's happening overseas in war-torn countries, don't turn a blind eye from it. Actually watch what's happening and develop that empathy. Start thinking, how do we fix this? Who do I volunteer time or money to? How do I spread this message? What should I be sharing? Like, just keep everything all love and light, because that's not how it is. You're just bypassing the world. It's still going to impact you. What's happening overseas in war is impacting on all of us. It's part of the collective. And we can't just pretend that that's not going to be us, because that could be us one day. We don't know. If we're going to turn a blind eye to these things overseas, then we run the risk of not protecting ourselves from that happening here.
And do you know what? That's the interconnectedness between people and the world.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I guess because there's an interconnectedness between all people, no matter who you are, and nature, that what we see overseas and what's going on in communities outside of our own communities and within our own communities, it's important to have that empathy and understanding for others, to actually hold on to some optimism and hope for the world.
Yeah, exactly. And don't be so arrogant to think that that couldn't happen to you, because you don't know. You don't know that something couldn't happen in a safe country where all of a sudden things aren't safe anymore. You can't be so arrogant to think that you'll always be safe from other people's violence.
Yeah. We've recorded previous episodes on Hey Soul Sista before, talking about love versus fear.
Yeah.
And living in fear and living with love.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just, I guess, go over that again, because I remember hearing when we were having this discussion, you were talking about what does living in fear look like, and how does that feel? And it comes from that egoic place, and then living with love and coming from a soulful place.
Yeah, and understanding that you're a soul that's having a human experience and everybody else is a spiritual being having a human experience, and that we all stuff up and make mistakes, but as long as we love ourselves and we love one another and we come at each other with empathy rather than egoic, oh God, I'm glad that's not me, I don't want anything to do with that, and kind of trying to separate yourself from other people, that just creates more division. There's no empathy, there's no connectedness, there's no opportunity for people to come together and find solutions, because you're wanting to feel safe in the division.
Yeah.
Want to save your soul? Review us on Apple Podcast.
You know, when we recorded that particular episode, and we've done a few different episodes around that, I remember walking away and really consciously, for the weeks after that, really consciously observing myself and go, when am I coming from fear? Like, what are those emotions that I have? Sadness, anger, unconfidence, all these different emotions, and that understanding that that's coming from the fearful place, because they say there's only two core emotions, love and fear.
Yeah. And when you're in fear, it's not just you that it's impacting on the people around you too, because it starts coming out in your behavior. It starts coming out in the way that you speak to people. It starts coming out in the way that you communicate. And when you're in fear and you're pushing that fear onto other people, you start to hurt people's feelings. You start to create damage in your life with who's around you, be it at work or at home or in your friendship circles. And so then that just perpetuates this feeling that you have of, oh, everyone is, I'm not able to rely on anybody. I feel like the world's against me. And the more you start reacting to the world in that space, the more you're going to attract more of these things that keep making you think there's things to be fearful of.
Which is difficult when you watch the news and or look on social media. It's hard not to feel fearful at times when you see all that chaos going on.
It is, but this is when you need to I need to tap into my love now. I need to sit in my safe space. How can I show love to someone while I'm feeling this fear? How do I make somebody else feel it's okay?
And one of the things that a couple of years really, and starting Hey Soul Sista has brought that, to the fore for me. But I, made that decision to try and live from a soulful place. And that's challenging at times.
It's very challenging. It's challenging for everybody. I'm sure the Dalai Lama finds it challenging.
Yeah.
We're humans, and the world, we see more of the world now. We're not so protected as what we were before technology took off, before social media. We lived in a bubble of propaganda most of our lives from what the government would tell us was happening in the world. And most people preferred to stay that way. But now we're living in a time where technology is opening up our eyes to truth and to a lot of falseness through AI. We have to really tune into our intuition, just what's true and what's not, what's being fed to us that's BS and what's being fed to us as truth that we need to open our eyes and not disengage from.
Yeah. And so if you're listening to this and you resonate and that you have been feeling, seeing the chaos of the world, seeing the wars, the violence, what's going on in the States, what's going on in our communities, if you have experienced violence yourself or witnessed domestic violence, which has just as strong a traumatic impact as it being directed towards you, even witnessing it and being around that.
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah, but you want to try and live from that soulful space. I know I'm trying to, and again, it can be challenging. That's coming from the love space.
Yeah.
So, Beck, how can we, in those moments, in those times when we're feeling fearful, how can we remind ourselves to come back to love?
First thing to do is acknowledge that you're in a state of fear, that your anger is most probably coming from a state of fear, and you need to stop and take a breath in, remove yourself from whoever it is that you're around that you could possibly be harming through your actions or your words, and see, where's the gratitude? What am I grateful for right now? I'm grateful for my kid. I'm grateful that I've got an income coming. I'm grateful that I do this exercise all the time. My husband was my guinea pig for a long time, and he's a very, very different person now. And my daughter, I always say, okay, let's stop right now in this moment while we're feeling in fear about anything to do with food or bills or anything like that. There's more food in the fridge right now than I could possibly eat right now in this moment, which means I'm in a state of abundance. I have an overflow of food that I need. Right now, there's more petrol in my car than I need to use right now in this moment. Therefore, I'm in an overflow of petrol. So I'm not going to freak out about the petrol prices right now. Right now, I've got a roof over my head. I don't need another roof over my head. Right now, I have electricity and access to water, and I'm actually in an abundance of everything that I need right now in this moment. Concentrate on what you're in an abundance of, and that you're in a state of overflow. And then that brings you back more power. Oh, okay, I've got things to be grateful for. Everything's not all doom and gloom. And then start looking outside of those basic human needs that we have, where we freak out, oh my goodness, am I going to be able to pay the bills? Am I going to be able to feed everyone? And then start looking at the people around you that you're grateful for and tell them. Ring people. So send a text message. How are you? It's been ages since I've been seeing you. I know you're really busy. I just wanted to reach out and touch base. Just do little things like that where you're starting to reach out to others in a place of love and not fear.
Do you know what? I love that because I know myself. I have a few friends that every now and then will just send a text and go, hey, how you going? Haven't seen you in a while. You going okay? And I go, it's actually beautiful, the check-in. It's just the check-in.
Yeah, just a check-in.
It's actually because you know what? In that moment, I go, oh, they're thinking of me, and it makes you feel loved.
Yeah. I mean, we're all so busy. And you know that I've been an MIA friend since I've been working full-time back at the hospital.
We message each other at 3 a.m. when I'm lying there awake in bed.
Everybody knows I'll probably be at work.
You're on night shift. I'm like, hey, Beck will be awake. I'll message Beck.
Yeah, but it's still that check-in. It's still, okay, well, my life looks a little different right now. And my life has looked a little different right now because I have had reasons to be a little bit fearful about, tuning into the gratitude. I didn't want to be working back there full time, but given my husband's employment status at the moment, I have to. I'm very grateful that we have that steady income. And then I have to look at, okay, well, my safety's at risk exponentially now than what it was before. And where can I find the gratitude in that? What am I going to focus on that feels loving to me? I'm going to focus on showing other people how to have spiritual practices, showing other people how to have laughter, be part of an environment that's so toxic and heavy for everybody that it's okay to muck around and laugh and be silly in that kind of environment and just have like even 5 seconds out of the heaviness of what it is to be locked up all together in a psych unit where people can't leave when they like. So that's a lot of tension for a lot of people who are in their own space that are feeling unwell, that have got a lot of fear and anger going on. And so it's palpable. So I use my time when I'm there. Let's muck around. Let's be silly. Let's make everyone feel safe. It's an important thing to have everybody around you feel safe and feel like it's okay for them to breathe, and that if I'm in control of that environment, then it's okay for them to not lash out.
Yeah. And I saw you posted a social media Facebook post the other day and I loved it. You said that we need to find beauty in the shadows and embrace the light within ourselves and others.
Yeah, it's really important. So for example, a couple of weeks ago, a patient who was very unwell seriously assaulted me. And people's reactions to my assault were so interesting to me, because there was a lot of, especially males, like, no, that shouldn't happen. You should never have done that. Why are you forgiving him? Why are you being nice about it? Because he's very unwell. I can see in this person that had he not been so unwell, there's no way he would have punched me in the head. There's no way he would have done that. And he was very remorseful after. People felt it was strange that I went to speak to him after, and that he hugged me and he was crying and I heard him, and even he thought it was very strange that I was doing that and thought that I was being nice for the sake of it. And I tried to explain, no, I'm not. I'm letting it go because I don't want to carry this around with me. There's no need for me to stew on this and have it eat me up. It's not mine to carry. And I'm telling you to your face that I forgive you and let it go because I don't want you to carry it around either. It's done now. Just let it go. And it's very interesting to see how other people reacted to my business and how I chose to handle that.
Yeah.
And then all the conversations that it opened up. People, how can you be so forgiving? I'm just like, what's the point in me carrying that around? Like, the bruises will heal. He didn't mean to do that. That's not who he is as a person.
In saying that, I'm just doing a little trigger warning thing that's not okay if it's your partner and there's a pattern of abuse there.
Yeah,
or
that's a very different
That's a very different situation. So we're not saying that's okay.
No, that's a very different situation. Had he been a violent person and had he have done that to me deliberately out of power
and control,
cruelness, it would have been a very different reaction. So I would have handled that very differently, and I would have spoken about it differently. I would have charged him. I would have gone to the police and had him charged. It's a very different situation.
Yeah,
but it's still.
This is a patient of yours that's in a mental health hospital,
and I was fascinated to see how other people reacted to my assault and how angry people would get about it and fearful, and then think, if that happened to me, and you got to let go of things like that. You can't carry around things with you, even big traumas. I mean, I've gone through some really traumatic stuff. Moved through it with my spiritual health and my mental health and physical health. You got to let things go. You got to move through things. You can't keep carrying stuff with you and for it to build up and build up, because it'll come out of you in illness. it'll come out in you absolutely demolishing your life as you know it and pushing people away. Fear will start to creep into every area of your life and
who wants to live like that?
Nobody wants to live like that.
Nobody wants to live in fear. We might have moments where we are in fear, feeling sad, angry, or whatever that is, but we don't stay there.
No.
We don't stay there.
No. And if you are living in a situation where there is another person that is encroaching their fear onto you in an abusive and dangerous way, then you need to address that. You either try and get help together. If that's not an option, then you reach out to other people and you get help to help you leave.
Yeah.
And you use the services that are available to you.
Yeah. Oh, Beck, thank you so much for coming on Hey Soul Sister again.
You're welcome.
I always love our conversations.
Me too.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Absolutely. Okay, now if people want to reach out to you, Beck, and have a reading or something like that.
You can find me in social media because I'm in the land of the hospital. So if you find me on Instagram, it's Rebecca Gibson Psychic Medium. And if you find me on Facebook, it's Rebecca Gibson Psychic Medium. And then otherwise, I'm not really hanging out in spaces at the moment, except in the 3D real world. I'm liking the social media detox. There's so much BS on social media. I just roll my eyes too much, give myself a headache.
Yeah. Thanks, my beautiful friend.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to Hey Soul Sister with Mel Histon. What would help you on your crazy life journey? Email Melissa at thesistercode.com.